Did Rita get Bob deported? So look now, the last time we saw Bob, Sedella, and Rita, Bob was over there sending his mother a little change, okay? And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and pick up there because Rita and Bob are in this relationship. Now we get a backdrop of him leaving Toddy's house, not really having anywhere to go, and really cleaving onto Rita in this moment, right? They're both very young, all right? So we're gonna give him a little grace. It goes on to say, and this is coming from his mother, who is getting secondhand information, right? Except for when she's getting firsthand information. Some months later, Nesta wrote again to say that he'd met a nice girl named Rita and that she had become pregnant for him, and that if she had his baby, he intended to marry her. I wrote him back and told him he didn't have, and this is important, that if she had his baby, this is important to note, I'm going to continue. I wrote him back and told him that he didn't have to marry any girl just because he had gotten pregnant for him. That marriage was a big step to be taken cautiously and preferably for love or for papers. Really depends. Yeah, that's what I say. Soon afterwards, Rita began writing me long, friendly letters. What have I said, though? Our Nigerian cousins like to say, you've heard it. Rita, soon after, she and Bob, as she said, were together all the time, started writing the letters to Sedella. Okay? Soon afterwards, Rita began writing me long, friendly letters, and we started a regular correspondence. Who's the we? Rita and Sedella. Bob told his mother that he would be willing because his mother kept saying, "Hey, when are you coming?" And he was like, he's not ready yet. He's not ready yet. He meets Rita in about 65 because Sharon is about 5 and she's born November 64. He meets Rita. They start, going everywhere together and they're together now. Now Rita starts writing his mother the letters. I heard that she had lost the baby. Keep that, just stick up in there, so which made me feel I had given Nesta the right advice about not hastily marrying just because of some so called pregnancy. Like, I thought she was going to say, I heard that she lost a baby and I was so sad. But she, so called pregnancy, that was kind of like, ouch. The months rolled past and I began hearing rumors about Nesta from Jamaica. One day, somebody, I believe it was my brother Gibson, came and told me that it was all over the news in Jamaica that Nesta had gotten married, which would mean that Nesta got married in 1966. But no one knew. And then, ta-da, surprise, surprise, they're married. So that part right there, the timeline, like I said when I first read it in another video, is giving me pause. But we're going to continue. Married, I scoffed. And me don't know. Me not think so. If him get married, him no would I tell him mama. And for a while, I heard nothing from Nesta about his plans to come to America or about any marriage. This is also important. You're going to find out why, because we got a little treat after this reading. And whenever I wrote and asked if he wanted to come to America, I would hear back from him that he wasn't ready yet. Remember, she did the preliminary when she came in, what was that, 64? Or 60, 63, 64. She did the preliminary. She took him to the immigration office, the embassy. She got the preliminaries. His name was changed to Robert Nesta instead of Nesta Robert. So she did the preliminaries, and now she's just waiting for when he decides he wants to come. Meanwhile, the times continued brutally hard in Jamaica. Nesta's music had made a name for him on the island, but somebody else was pocketing all the money while he was ending up with small change. And that's another story for another day. Then one day he suddenly wrote and said he was ready to come to America and try his luck. Surprise, surprise. But remember, you said you were writing back and forth with Rita. And then all of a sudden one day Nesta's like, he's ready. I wonder what sparked that interest. I quickly made the arrangements and mailed him an airplane ticket. A few months later, Nesta joined me in Delaware. Okay, Mother Poker. There's few times when I be like, this story not it not spell sense. just in timeline wise. I'm not talking about events, I'm talking about the sequence of events. Let's hop on over to Rita, because after Rita, we have a Trita. All right? So, Rita, where I say, we got married on impulse because Bob's mother had sent for him. Sadella said he kept saying he wasn't ready. And then one month, he suddenly wrote and said he was ready. I wonder if it was Bob who said that, or did Rita write that in a friendly letter? I don't know. Because Rita's like, me no know what check him. All of a sudden, he might have sent for him. No, y'all had to tell her she was ready. You were ready for her to send for him. Unlike a lot of girls, I hadn't been dreaming of being married at that age. It wasn't something I had in my mind. I never thought about my wedding day. To begin with, we didn't have anything to be married on. And in those days in Jamaica, you couldn't wake up one day and want to marry. You had to plan. You had to save money for it. And for those who thinking, oh, was this familiar? Yes, I read it before. But this is a different light, okay? But Sadella Malcolm Marley had married Edward Booker. We just read that. An American. Having gotten her own legal papers, she could now sponsor her son as a child, right? However, the paperwork is, they are aware, this is what Rita's saying retrospectively, that Sadella could sponsor her son. So Bob had to immigrate. But he said he wouldn't leave unless I eventually went with him. Calculating, sticking pins. Okay. It says here, though we were well in love, we hadn't even talked about getting married until this happened. What is the this? Is it the immigration letter? Because Sadella said she was waiting on Bob. Bob said he wasn't ready yet. All of a sudden, Sadella sent for him, but that couldn't be because there had to be a process of application to get his visa to come. So she wasn't going to buy a plane ticket if he wasn't ready to go. So it gives you the feeling that the I'm ready came from Jamaica, not necessarily from America. It goes on to say, uh, Bob thought that if we weren't married before he left, I would find another boyfriend. I think all of the above could be true, right? Because he knew how, like I said before, he knew that he took you from somebody who wasn't here. I don't know if that would have happened. Maybe it's a possibility, but he wouldn't allow it to happen. And by then, he was my straight boyfriend. As we say in Jamaica, I was neither seeing nor thinking about another man. I don't want to be, I found something curious during this point only because I'm going to come back to it at another point. But I heard and then confirmed that during the time when Rita first comes to Studio One, that Coxon was pairing her with Peter Tosh. No, sorry. She did a duet with Peter Tosh, but she was being paired with Bunny Wailer on tracks. And I found a few of those tracks. I'm just going to submit that there for consideration. Let's continue. I was neither seeing nor thinking about another man. He was my number one. Plus, he was now getting some recognition. He was waiting for his muse. His music was playing on the radio. We both thought we were made for each other. So she's like, basically to me, this paragraph here is to absorb Rita of being the reason that Bob would have wanted to get married, meaning she wasn't pushing him. You see how Sadella was like, yeah, she pushed Mr. Booker. This to me kind of absorbs Rita and like, oh my goodness, this was all Bob's idea, kind of. But what was Rita writing Sadella in the letters? You know what I mean? Our plan was that he was going to sponsor me. So I sit in the wall, I want to plan. So I have to keep these things in mind, me know why me I say what me I say, So them hatch a plan. Our plan was that he was going to sponsor me when he got to Delaware. Even after his mother's experience, we refused to believe that this couldn't happen quickly enough and easily. So wait, she says Bob popped the question and he wanted to marry her so somebody else wouldn't be with her. But also they were talking and having a plan that not only was he going to immigrate, she was going to too. So y'all did have a conversation about marriage before he actually did it, right? It says here, because how else would he sponsor you? It says here, we had no idea that things would turn out the way they did. And this is where we are going to get into. This is the question. Did Rita cause Bob to get deported? I think that's what I'm going to name it. I'm not sure. We don't know when the video go up. But did she cause him to get deported? We don't know. But I think I got involved with Robbie. I knew because he was so clearly a strong young man. He was very straightforward and strong-headed in terms of this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do, and very serious about his family and his life. His spirit was there too. The strength of his spirit showed. I guess I have a strong spirit too, to identify one. You know, Rita's always like second guessing herself. I guess this, I guess that. Come on, Rita, come out and say it. Say, yeah, me too. I have strong spirit too. That may I say. Come on, it's all right. Anyway, let's continue. As partners and soulmate, hey, there was some chemistry that was natural and positive. And our astrological signs were right. Him being Aquarian and me being Leo, we faced each other on the zodiac. Like I said before, Rasta woman in a zodiac. And I think our relationship came out of wanting and needing and seeing the need in each other. They had a strong bond. My need is in you, and I need someone like you to help me to make me what I am, what I want to be. And I think we did great. So the question was before, I think I put it on community board. What was the question again? There would be no Rita without Bob or Bob without Rita. And there's a spirited conversation going on right now. But I did see Rita Marley's granddaughter say that, and the people went in, right? And people are like, what? But in Rita's estimation, she says, my need is in you. I need someone like you to help me, to make me what I am, what I want to be. And I think we did great. So basically, she's saying they fed into each other and together they blossomed into the story that we're experiencing, right? And then she says, we were married at 11 in the morning on February the 10th, 1966. But we're not done. We're not done. We're not done. Just stay right there. Take a little sip because now we have to go into some paperwork. This one is going to be a little lengthy, but it is going to be worth it because we have to answer the question. Did Rita get Bob deported? All right. So now that we've heard all of that, let's take a look at the United States Department of Justice paperwork for Robert Nesta Marley. So we already read that Sadella said that the guy at the passport office changed his name and inverted the Nesta with the Robert. And this is going to add some other things that, shout out to the subscriber who gave me the tip to go looking for this paperwork, okay? This is record of sworn statement, 128 North Broad Street, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, 19102, Immigration and Naturalization Service. This is Freedom of Information Act, and it's going to give us some insight. It's going to give us some insight. So let's go. This took place August the 17th, 1966. These dates are important. He went in February of 1966. March, April, May, June, July, August. So 5 months later, he is at the immigration office seeking paperwork, okay, to be able to stay in the country. It goes on to say that his mother is Sadella and his father, his stepfather is Edward Booker, M. Booker, right? I am an officer, the person who's doing the interview is swearing that they're an officer of the United States Immigration and Naturalization, right? And so they do all of that. So this is official paperwork. So we're going to get down into the question and answer section. Okay? We heard what Rita said. We heard what Sadella said. Now let's look at what Bob said via this paperwork interview. Are you willing to answer my questions at this time? Yes, sir. He says, well, yes, sir. Do you swear that all statements you are about to make will be true, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help you God? He swears. He didn't say him do. He don't say him swear. He say him do. Can also say you affirm, right? What is your name? Robert Nesta Marley. Right? So we see the inversion there. When and where were you born? St. Anne, Jamaica. Okay. What date? This is why people keep saying that on his immigration paperwork, it says April the 6th, 1945. His mother is saying that that was the registration date. And as we know, historically in the Caribbean, the registration date is usually months later after you were born, right? There's the born date and the date that you registered in the office. There's nothing fishy there for me looking and poring over all this paperwork over all these years and having it in my own family. That's how it goes, right? Of what country are you a citizen? Jamaica. Where do you live? 302 East 25th Street, Wilmington, Delaware. Nothing outer thing right now, right? Let's continue. With whom do you live? My mother and stepfather. What is your mother's name? Sadella Booker. What is your stepfather's name? Edward Booker. Because now at this point, Edward Booker is the one who's filing for them. Is your mother a citizen of the U.S.? Not yet. She's a permanent resident. Her alien card number is blizzy blazzy blizzy. And it shows that she was admitted to the United States as an immigrant in 1964, June the 9th. So 2 years earlier, Sadella, as she told us, she went back to the island and Edward Booker filed for her and she came back up. So he's saying that when she officially entered, it was June the 9th, 1964, right? Is your stepfather a citizen? Yes. What is his birthplace? Our birth date. He was born in Hopewell, Virginia, born November 29th, 1914, right? So before the Sadella told us that he was 15 years her senior, and that's correct because Sadella born in 26 and born in 14, so another fact checks out. Are you employed? He says, yes, sir. Where do you work and what is your job? He works at DuPont Hotel as a houseman. Remember, before, it is interesting because Bob is like, yo, bunny people, them, I try have him as a little slave boy. And then he came to America and he's working as a houseman. Where is that located? 10th and Market Street, Wilmington, Delaware. How long have you had this job? 6 months. So as immediately as Bob came to America, he got a job. The only problem is, does he have a work visa? Is he on a visitor's visa or does he have a work visa, right? Do you have any other jobs in the U.S.? He says, no. When did you come? February 17th, 1966. So as in coming get a work, because he came here to work. The only question is, do you have money? Do you have the permission to work, right? Where did you enter and how did you travel? He says he went on a plane from Kingston to Miami. How long after entering the United States, February 17, 1966, did you begin working for the Hotel DuPont? 1 month. But what him saying work for 6? So March, April, May, June, July, August, September. Is really like almost 6 months. Does that mean you have been working for the Hotel DuPont about 5 months, 5 to 6 months? Or exactly, because when you count it, it took him a month to get it, 5 to 6 months before him get the work, right? Nothing shady yet. Nothing shady. Before you came to the United States, did you have any idea you were going to work for the Hotel DuPont? No, sir. Basically, did somebody try to lure you up here to work, without proper papers? What was your purpose in coming to the U.S.? So that I can live with my mother and father. Because this is 1966. He born 45, 21 at this point. It goes on to say, was it your intention to come here and live with your parents and work? He says, yes, sir. Before you came to the United States, did you have any offer of employment from any place in the United States? Again, no, sir. Again, because you know the thing already. Is your entry into the United States on February the 17th, 1966, your only entry into the United States? Yes, sir. Did you have any schooling in Jamaica? He says, yes, sir. Is Jamaica the only country you have ever lived before you came to the United States? Yes, sir. What schooling did you have in Jamaica? He went to Stephanie Government School. That's where they were living, in 9 miles. That's what his mother said. How long did you go there? He said 5 years. Was that your first school? Him say, yes, sir. How old were you when you left that school? 13. Now, this is interesting. He still stays back, and he went with his mother's sister while his mother came to town. So 45, that might be a bit about correct because she said he was 12, 13 when he came to town, right? It says, did you go to any school after? He says, yes, Model Private School. That's what his mother says. For 6 years, he says. But that is also a little bit interesting. He says that he was 19-year-old when he left school. But his mother says he was more around 15. I have to cross check that when he left school and said that the woman was going back to country and that he's not doing school anymore. So I don't know if he was 19 when he left school. That one day, says, did you go to any other school after that? Him say, no, sir. Did you work after you left the model private school? Him say, yes, sir. What did you do? I was learning a trade as an electrical welder. That's what his mother said, right? What did you learn to do at this place? Cut, fit, and weld. Remember the piece of metal strap in him eye, and then him did I forgot to pluck it out and him quit. How long did you do that? He says 2 years. Again, I don't think Sadella gives us the time frame of how long he did it, but this is what Bob is saying, right? Are you experienced in that work? I'm not fully experienced, but I can do some. So at least he was honest because he dropped out of the apprenticeship, right? He quit. Did you look for that kind of job after you came to the United States? He says, yes, sir. Where did you look? I don't remember the places. I tried several places. What did they say? When I went, sometimes they were filled up. And the test at the big places, I couldn't manage the test. So he wasn't equipped enough to pass, right? Before you came to the United States, did you work in one place doing that? Or more than one? He's one place. And the mother actually gave the name of the place. She told us the street. You could go back to that episode. She told us where and how she got him referred. What was the name of the place? Well, look at this. Bob tells us Standard Engineering Works. We could cross-reference that with what Sadella said in her book, right? At least, at minimum, they had corroborated their stories. I can't go look right now, but Sadella gave us the name of the place. Where was it located? I don't remember the number or the address, but it was South Camp Road. I do remember South Camp Road, that she said. Is that in Kingston, Jamaica? Yes, sir. Did you have a job? That job immediately before you left for the United States? No, I remember him did quit. Did you have any other job before you left Jamaica? He says he used to entertain. In what way? Singing. He never even going nothing, just singing, right? So far, this is Bob talking now, you know. This is government papers interview process to immigrate into America. And we're going to get to the part that I wanted to highlight here. The marriage to Rita. Bob's growing resentment. His denial of actually getting married. Him thinking somebody obey him. There's going to be some clues right in this next part. So patience, patient man ride donkey. Okay? Let's continue. Were you a professional? He said, no, amateur. So in 1966, he didn't consider himself a professional. He said he was an amateur. He was still learning. Did you get paid for singing? Yes, sir. Remember, Sadella, I tell him, say, we did get the £5 at first for judge not, then him get out $10 American. So he might get little money. How long did you do that before you came to the United States? For 2 years. But he was kind of singing for more than 2 years, really. Because 6 years, he was singing from 8? And we in 66, so it was more than 2 years. Did you do that also while you worked as an electrical welder? Him say yes. What was the last place you worked for as a singer before you came to the United States? Jamaica Recording Studio. Did you record records? Him say yes, sir. Did you come to the United States with the idea of doing that kind of work? Him say no. No, sir. Here you know, this iPad, no, you know. Perk up, take a drink of your water, sip little juice, little mint tea, and make we get in at this. As a matter of fact, make we pause and come back and continue. You already know Island Twist. I have actually started to read Island Twist. I have heard your requests, and so I am reading and commenting on my own novel. Yes, indeed, because guess what? There's something to be learned from everything. You understand? So yes, go ahead and check out Island Twist so you read along with me as we're reading through the novel. All right? Island Twist follows Jackie Brown, a young girl who finds herself head over heels for the new island boy at school in fresh outer yard, and Jackie has the fever. But as she navigates the ups and downs of her new crush, things quickly spiral out of control when her not so secret admirer becomes determined to sabotage her relationship. So check out the new novel Island Twist over on Amazon today. Now back to the story. All right, so we're back again. Are you married or single? Married, remember, he married February of 1966, right before he left. What is your wife's name and when and where did you marry her? My wife's name is Rita Constantina Marley. I married her in Kingston on the 10th of February 1966. Married? I never married Rita Marley on the name Rita Marley because she playing at the band. Me never married. Mama, me not telling no lie, man. The day me never remember how me married Rita. Also, Bob, I married her on February the 10th, 1966. Rita Constantina Marley. That get sassy now. When and where was she born? Somebody redacted this. We were told she was born in Cuba. I don't know why this is redacted. That's interesting. But nonetheless, I don't see why it should be redacted. Have you ever been married before? No, sir. Has Rita ever been married before, as far as you know? No. He may have put no. Where is Rita living? We know she's in Greenwich Park Road, right, with her auntie. I show you have a photostatic copy of a marriage register showing that Robert Nestor Marley and Rita Constantina Anderson were married on February the 10th, 1966 in Jamaica. Is this a copy of your marriage record? Yes, sir. We don't go married, we not married. Rip up this, mama. Me never married no Rita, mama. Rip up this and dash this way. Married. And my mother no know. I've said it now. Is Anderson your wife's maiden name? Yes. I show you an application for verification of last entry of an alien filed by Robert Nestor Marley on behalf of Rita Constantina Anderson Marley. Is this your application and does it contain your signature? Yes. At the time of your entry into the United States on February 17th, 1966, did you have a labor clearance order, meaning say you have work visa, issued by the Secretary of Labor of the United States? The papers that I had, I did not see them. I did not get any to read to see if I should work or I don't work. So he might plead, boy, me no know. That's what I heard him say. Did you have any paper that was issued by the United States government saying that it would be all right for you to work in the United States? No, sir. See, Takomia, no. See, problem, no. When I read this, I was like, I could see how by the time he come back, he kind of feeling a way about Rita because Rita is corresponding with his mother before. What's the conversation? We don't know necessarily. Who's advising them to do this? We don't know. But the order of events, the sequence in the way that they did it, him marrying before he left, created a bit of an issue. Did you have any paper that was issued to the United States government saying that it would be all right for you to work in the United States? No, sir. I show you an immigrant visa issued on January 20th, 1966. To Robert Nestor Marley at the American Embassy, Kingston, Jamaica. Is this your immigrant visa? Yes, sir. So when Rita says his mother sent for him, he gets this visa about almost 1 month prior, and she knows that he's leaving and he knows that she's leaving, right? Something must happen in that space where now she's pregnant and then, according to Sedella, right? So let's continue. Is that your photograph on the face of the visa? Yes, sir. So he decides he's leaving. He decides he's leaving Jamaica in 1966, and he looks like he accepts from his mother, and look now, may I go away. Does the photograph contain your signature? Yes, sir. Is this the immigrant visa with which you made your entry into the United States, February 17, 1966? Yes, sir. So it's like, wait a minute, this thing is going left. Like they got questions, like where are we going with this? Now I show you that there is an attached to your immigrant visa a form dated January 20th, 1966, entitled Department of State Foreign Service of the United States of America, Statement of Marriageable Age Applicant, issued visa as child. Would you look at this form and tell me whether it contains your signature? Yes, sir. Will you read for the record what this form says after I, Robert Marley? Applicant reads, I, Robert Marley, the undersigned, fully understand that I should lose my special immigrant, immediate relative, or preference status or right to benefit from a chargeable of my accompanying parent if, because his mother is filing for him as a child. So the fact that he married, it changes his status, and he is not able to come true under that status anymore. That could have created a little issue, a little problem, a little feelings, a little belly if he carry. You understand? It says here, from the chargeable of my accompanying parent, if I marry prior to my application for admission at a port of entry into the United States, and that I would then be subject to exclusion, the reform. So him leaving, if he would have left and not married Rita, he would have been under the child status. He married her right before he came, and that causes an issue. Do you understand what you have just read? Yes, sir. In view of this, why did you marry Rita before you came to the United States? Here you know, you know. Watch you know, you know. Listen now, you know. She was pregnant and she lost the baby. So the best thing I could do was to marry her and try to bring her to the United States. I know that Rita say, but that Sedela did say. We did play Coxon where Coxon did say. So Rita was pregnant and he advised Bob to marry her. Not marry, you know, to marry her. And Rita never said so. Rita said, whoa, it did surprising, man. We never know what make him did want to marry. But Sedela said, she said she didn't lose the baby. So Baba said, everybody I say, you know, she was pregnant and she lost the baby. So the best thing I could do was to marry her and try to bring her to the United States. But this thing kind of mashed up the Dali house. So now I'm wondering, did Bob get dip when he came back? Did he say, oh, I want to go back home? Or did he get dip because he's no longer eligible under child status to get paperwork? How long did you know Rita before you married her? He says 2 years. So he's basically saying he knew her since 64. But 64 is when Sharon is born. And if I'm not mistaken, I have to do the number work. Let me see now. Hold on there before we go forward. Because Bob, them answer ya kind of, make we make it sink in. Make we make this sink in. Hold on there. Make we make this sink in. No, bear with me. Because this is a lot. Go and peruse the screen while me see the exact date. When was Sharon? Sharon Marley. I thought so. November. So he doesn't meet her in November. He meets her when, according to Rita, the baby is 5 months. So he meets her in 65. Right? Around April them way. How long did you know Alfreda before you married her? He says 2 years. When was it that she lost this baby? So interesting. Listen now, you know. He says September. I don't remember the date. The month was September. So according to Bob, she's pregnant in September of 65. These dates are going to get interesting now, you know. September of 65 is when Rita has to be pregnant and loses the baby. October, November, December, and by January, him decide to tell him mother, or even before, because now he goes to the visa office. That means he would have had to tell his mother before that point that, listen, he wants to come to America and he wants to bring Rita. How did you expect to avoid being excluded from the United States? Well, at the time, sir, I didn't understand the form. Remember earlier, he says, do you understand what you have just read? Him say yes. But no, him said, well, at that time, him never understand the form, right? Did you read the form when you signed it? Yes, sir. Do you have any children? No, sir. Okay, this is also a part where people are saying that, and I'm not saying no, I don't know. We don't know them. We don't personally know them unless we know them. That Bob had a child named Imani Marley earlier, before he meets Rita. It's a possibility. Him saying that him don't have a child on this farm is neither here nor there, because later on him tell us him don't have a wife, and that wasn't true either, right? Before you married Rita, did you discuss with anybody in Jamaica the effects of your marriage to her would have on your chances of coming to the America? Him said no. Unless the people were familiar with immigration, did it occur to you to go to the American embassy and discuss this matter? Him again said no. So he could be even in his feelings that he got bad advice. You understand? Because I was just watching a documentary about Junior Braithwaite. I think one of the original, as if that's how you say his name, one of the original whalers And they say what happened to him is that his family immigrated, and he was one of the younger ones. He was about 14 at the time, and that his family immigrated, and he really wanted to become a doctor. So he immigrated to the United States. So Bob would have known about another band member who left the band through immigration, right? And so it wouldn't have been foreign to him, but whether or not he had counsel on this, I don't know. Needless to say, he marries Rita, according to him, because she was pregnant and lost the baby, and ultimately changed his status and mess up the immigration thing. What are your duties at the DuPont Hotel? My duties are to vacuum floors and general housework, to wash walls, mirrors, and lamps, and so on. Like a little slave boy, them have Bob inside there, do the taddy to backside. Do you work regular hours? Yes, sir. What are they? 7 to 4. How many days a week? 5 days a week. So Bob come for work. Do you have a social security card with you? No. Problems. No social security card, no green card, how the thing go? How DuPont? No, DuPont in a trouble now, you know. Do you know the number? No, sir. Have you ever been convicted in Jamaica for anything whatsoever? No, sir. Have you ever been convicted in the United States for any offense? No, sir. Have you ever been arrested anywhere by the police anywhere? No, sir. I can't talk right now, you know, people. I can't call me. Have you ever been a member of any communist party anywhere? No, sir. And there's a possibility at this time, because they say Rita is born in Cuba, that also may have presented a bit of a problem for him, because at this time, the relation with Cuba is not the best. So that's the, like, few things are redacted on this. I found it peculiar that that was redacted, and it may have also caused a problem, not only because he changed his child status, but he married Rita, or Rita, Alpha Rita, and Alpha Rita is from Cuba, right? Do you have any brothers or sisters? A little sister, Claudette Booker. Is she in the United States? Yes, sir. Where was she born? We know, say them say she born at Kingston. Why them redact that? Me don't know. When did she come to the U.S.? We know, say after after Sedella come, she come. How old is she? In 1966, she's about, what? 2? Our mother said, are going 3. Aside from your wife, do you have any close relatives in Jamaica? The closest are aunts and uncles, he goes on to say. Am I correct that your wife has applied for a visa to come to the United States? Yes, sir. So remember, Alpha Rita's father immigrated to London, UK. Alpha Rita is in connection with Sedella, writing her letters back and forth. Does she possibly want to leave? Yes. Does she possibly see this as an opportunity? I think so. Yes. Again, we already read over what Rita said. Now we're reading what Bob is saying to the immigration officer, right? How or why they did it in this order? It looked like they got some bad counsel. What did you hear from your wife about that? The last I heard from her was that the consulate of Jamaica told her that I wasn't entitled to sponsor her. Why? Because he didn't get his status yet. So he can't sponsor nobody because him not legal yet. In case it develops that you are liable to listen to this. Ask the question, did Bob get dip? In case it develops that you are liable to deportation, if granted the privilege of leaving the country voluntarily, would you leave voluntarily at your own expense? He says yes. Remember, she says that later on, before nice time in November, he leaves and he comes back to Jamaica. Could this be the reason? Could this be the reason? What's the reason? You never see smoke without fire. Let's continue. And lastly, I have read, and it's a Rita and Tay, for the foregoing statement consisting of 8 pages. I state that the answers made therein by me are true and correct, is the best of my knowledge and belief. What is it? And that this statement is full, true, and correct. Record of interrogation on the date indicated by the above named officer of the Immigration National Services. I have initialed each page of this statement and the correction noted on the pages. Okay, so we see, as we see all of those pages we went through, and there goes Bob's signature. He had a nice signature. He did go to school. His mother was right about him penmanship. It never chalky, you can't tell. So there's his signature, and the date is August the 31st, 1966. And this is a record of store and statement. So there we go, peoples. There we go. Did Bob voluntarily leave before he get dipped? Possibly. Did Marry and Rita shag up in paperwork? Did this situation land him back in Jamaica and force him to push through and pursue music as his only avenue? Possibly. You know what I mean? Based on the way everything is stacked up, it looks so. I also read shortly. Nah, I'll leave that for another day. That's enough for today. This video is kind of running long. With that said, thank you for tuning in. Continue to like, subscribe, and share the video then. All right? One.